So I'm Jonathan Mahlandt. I'm a senior psychology major from Frederick, Maryland. And the research I do is on implicit and explicit learning. So these are two general concepts in cognitive psychology. And basically implicit learning is learning, when we learn implicitly, we learn below the level of consciousness. So it's learning without knowing we're learning. And explicit learning is kind of the opposite. That's when we're learning a rule or a concept that we've been asked to apply to a given situation. So Dr. Green and I do research that compares these two types of learning. So to give a quick example, if we're looking at how to instruct students on basic grammar rules, right? Perhaps teaching them to learn explicitly would be saying, at the end of every sentence, we'd like you to put a period. Now write some sentences where you put a period at the end. Asking them to learn implicitly might be having them read a series of grammatically correct sentences and then having them correct their own sentence that might incidentally have a period at the end. So it's a matter of taking a rule and applying it versus sort of muddling through a series of stimuli and then trying to learn the rules non-consciously. And the second thing we kind of do with the research is trying to apply this whole implicit-explicit learning dynamic to experts. So just generally, when people go from novice performance to expert performance, they tend to go from very explicit, basic, rule-governed task execution to this very fluid processing. So somebody like Tiger Woods thinks about a golf swing a lot differently than someone who's been playing golf for 2 years. So we look to see how different types of instructions can facilitate one or the other type of learning and how instructions either help or hurt experts when they're trying to perform a task. Lumen Prize has been huge for a couple of reasons. One, it's been big with actually getting the funding for the research and getting participant incentives and those sorts of things. Probably the biggest help it had was aiding me personally in getting to Scotland. I spent about 4 months in St. Andrews, Scotland, and while I was there, I worked at a cognitive neuroscience lab that ended up having a huge impact on my thesis research here, as well as the direction I'm going to be going after undergrad. So I think Lumen had a pretty formative impact on me, at least particularly in the last 2 years. Yeah. I moved to San Diego mid-August. I'm going to be going to University of California at San Diego, and for the next 4 to 5 years, I'm going to be working on my PhD in psychology and neuroscience, and hopefully that'll lead to some sort of career in academia.